Does anybody have any questions on Councilman's minutes from February 26th, 2026? Now, set the motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Treasurer's report. Any questions on the treasurer's report? And also, she has made the financial statement for 2025. You had a chance to look it over, looking for a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, next thing on here is police, fire, and public works reports. Any questions on those reports? Sergeant Haley, Karen, would you please come forward and present your... I don't think that one's working.
Okay. Little late to get the flyers in some of your boxes, so at least some of you haven't been getting these in your boxes, but I was reached out by Mr. Davis about wanting to perform another bill cruiser to assist the food bank. Usually the beginning of the months are, harder winter months, especially for, lower income families, and it's also the slower times for the food banks to receive donations. So they wanted to perform a bill cruiser to gain donations for the food bank. So I've spoken with Elizabeth at Blackbird Coffee House about sitting in front of her business April 20th to be there for a couple of hours. And that way it also helps to know your business, kind of gain traction and more people for your business, and then we also use it to provide the food. That way lower income families have a wider selection and can actually do a little more food for the beginning of the year. Yep. Create a flyer that I'm going to put out into some stores around here, so that way people can kind of see what's going on. Kind of like when I did around Thanksgiving, you get an idea of what to bring. That way people have any questions, kind of have an outline of what's going on. It's going to be April 20th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Did he give you, or did they give you any kind of indication as to what they need more of?
Yeah, so, and again,
I mean, you got him the whole list here, but is there anything he needs more of than less of?
He didn't give any specifics. They just kind of gave me an outline of what they need. My only thing was they're fairly scarce and just about everything. Not just food items. A lot of people think food banking is food items, but hygienic items. So soap, shampoo, conditioners, feminine products, stuff like that. Some of those things kind of go unthought of.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on the police report, public works, or fire department? One thing the chief, he advised me a couple days ago that we are losing our full-time, fire operator, firefighter.
Christian Hernandez resignation. He got a job offer of work at home. She's on a base pay, so in North Carolina. So we had a job offer to move up there. So he made that. We accepted to use that there.
For sure.
Are we going to fill that role? I hope so. Just bring some stuff to you guys at the workshop.
Yeah, Chief and I had talked about it. What would work out beneficial would be 3 part-time, to help cover our hours instead of having full-time. But, those were kind of the options. He's going to be getting something together and see what, we want to do about it.
And there's pros and cons to each role.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason I was going to ask is how many people were you planning on hiring? Because you gave us a letter a while back saying that instead of full-time, you'd rather have 2 part-time.
That was the original. That's actually what we went away from. And again, I'll break it all down. So to have another full time, we had the intent to try to split our shifts where we had 2 people during the day and 2 people in the evening to kind of help our all together. The part time was because budget is getting as close as they were, we went held off on the part time. But that's still something that I'd like to see eventually happen. But like I said, I'll try to bring all that to kind of where we're at and what some of the ideas is future-wise will look like.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chief.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the 3 reports as written.
I'll make the motion.
A second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Park Committee. Lynn, do you have anything other than?
No.
You sure? I mean, how's the progress going on Dan side? I mean, it looks darn good right now.
We have about 4 more sites to power wash. And that's when I know burn ban now, I have no idea what I'm going to do with the leaves and the trees and the branches and everything. So hopefully we get some rain, the rain won't. So we can burn again. And I think that's about it. We only had 7 volunteers on Saturday, but Saturday before that was 12. So not everybody can work when it's hot.
Yeah. And Ken, I think you're working on something with the playground people.
We're starting that again. We start Sunday out today, kind of clean the site up. We've got 3 more holes we can dig a little bit deeper. And we're going to put a work crew together starting next week. And if you 6 people to get this thing working. So if anybody wants to help, contact me through Facebook or see me around town, say something. But we need 6 or 8 people to get this thing out starting next week.
Okay. And Merle, we got on order cable for the swim area.
We did order the cable for me.
Okay. Well, that's tomorrow.
It won't take very long to do it.
Yeah. What we found was, 300 foot stainless steel cable for 600 feet for $100.
$3 something.
Yeah. So,
Stainless steel.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's $4
Ken, is the site for the playground, is that all the cement work, is that all done?
No, okay. That's what we're preparing for now.
There we go.
We'll get it post set and we get everything set, plumb and level, then we'll pour the cement and start the rest of that.
Okay, great.
Any more questions for Parks?
I just wanted to follow up on kind of a discussion we had about moving the swimming area to the point of curve. I was out there this weekend and it looked really good, and it'd be a perfect place for it if we could figure out a way to mitigate the parking for that region. It seems like it most likely be a next year thing, obviously, because we have to get it out and let it be known, and that would make it a little bit tougher this year. But I think that's a really beautiful point. If we're willing to give up some of the permanent parking or permanent camping, we're not really using.
Right. Anyone on parks?
Yeah. You built again?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I reached out to the corporate on it, because I thought it was like little to no chance, but as far as processing all that debris that we built up, I asked them if we could have a bonfire, and the response was, they told me that it was our part to do with what we want, and if we have a citywide cleanup, that's completely up to us. I thought it'd be a great thing that two birds with one stone, if we built it out there in the field, and then obviously when burn hands off, no wind, and it's not raining, we have like a little bonfire for the city, that y'all bring the chairs out, and we can get some people place to use it, just have a little thing out there, and get rid of that mountain of brush that we have accumulated out there. So, I just want to put that on the table, that we are out there with the quarter, everyone else, I thought it was slim to no chance, but they were fun with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that surprised me. The court told me when I had the prisoners sitting here and told them that they were burning the leaves. They said at no cost can they burn leaves on a court property. So you're getting one word, I'm getting a different one.
Yeah, this came through from Dylan, so, I think the court's going through some stuff, and
Hopefully they'll start working with us.
they're in a very friendly place right now. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the last time, like Dan said, we, one of the stipulations was to add a fire department at Red.
Yeah, and he said that was completely up to the city, to manage that however they want. We didn't have to, we had permission to clear it.
Good.
Can you get that in an email?
Well, he followed it up with the message saying, Old Shoals is not under a microscope, so I took that as, stop asking this question.
I think we're getting a better working relationship.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning, any questions on planning and zoning? If not, look for a motion to accept parks and planning and zoning lessons. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilman, members' comments. Alderman Mike Collins?
I was just hoping, or wondering if anyone had any issues or anything with the proposed event for the immersive archery at Danny's here for the urban troll hunt. If not, then just for the sake of in case we get any help from the state or APSC or whatever, we should put it in the meeting minutes that when we move forward with it that way. If a grant or something that we appear to be able to go after it with that. So at this time, I'd like to review the urban troll hunt at the end of the grant.
Any discussion?
I got a question.
Yes.
Mike, what, how are they, Councilman Howell, I'm sorry. How are they going to mitigate, is it just the time between this group going and that next group going, or how are they going to keep people from actually getting shot by somebody else?
So in the safety mitigation plan, we'll have volunteers on the course. There's also only one central point to exit and leave, and the rest will be roped off, crossing tape and signage. So that's the way we'll mitigate that with the open shoot. You know, you have to go with the flow of things that the coordinators are there. No, you can't go back to stage one. If you want to do it again, go from the very beginning. But that's how we mitigate that. And then for the skills portion in the afternoon, that's just going to be everybody moving simultaneously to that thing. So it won't be just like you'll be able to walk in there's wristbands, and if you don't have a wristband, you have to look back in, kind of know, you haven't been up in the areas, and
And you said it's compound or refurb only,
those only, so whether you do the refurb or compound, no problem.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yeah, I did. Kevin did. Any other councilman members comments?
Yeah, I want to relay a quick story that happened a couple days ago. My wife and I were sitting in her business on Central, and unfortunately there was a pretty major car accident that happened right in front of our business. And long story short, we ended up taking two of the people that were involved in the car accident to Branson because there were no rental cars in Mountain Home, which I couldn't believe, but that was the truth. And the whole way out to Branson, they bragged on our city. Okay, these were people that had a horrible experience in our city, but the city turned it around into a great experience because, number one, a police officer was on the scene in less than 2 minutes. The fire department was on the scene. I mean, if y'all know our business is right across the street from the fire department. They were over there, Brent was there, they were getting things under control, they were unhooking batteries so there weren't explosions, and everybody did their job. It was great. It was great to see. Everybody was professional. It looked great. It was great. And these people just could not brag. They were from Iowa and they were on spring break, and they could not have bragged on our city more. And I was so proud of our city because this is what we've all been working for, is to get a city that's functioning correctly, that is something that somebody can come here and have an accident that totals their car, and yet they leave the city with a good feeling about Bull Shoals. That's pretty amazing, I think. So, kudos to the police department. I just couldn't have been more proud of the city. And so that's all I have to say. You know, I hear negative stuff all the time. And it's smoke and mirrors, people. The city is getting better. We're turning the corner. We're starting to get things clicking the way that we all want it to go. And I'm proud of that. So that's all I have to say.
Any other council?
Yeah, I'm just going to give a semi-quick tournament update. I've been doing a lot of research on and trying to get some more tournaments to come to our city. And just thinking about it out loud, there's a saying like, it's the economy stupid, well, it's the lake stupid. So we have a lake, it's free, we don't have to clean it, we don't have to drain it, we don't have to fill it, it's just there. We need to promote it. I'm just going to give you a few facts here. There's four different kinds of tournaments, like a corporate tournament, which would be like a basket tournament. Occasionally they have I think once a year basket is right for a basket. Everybody has a basketball can go to the basket tournament, and they have them in different cities, and there might be 50, 100, 150 people there. A lot of times they give away free boats, $100,000 boats at the tournament. So a lot of guys come, they actually have a drawing with that. So even if you're fishing sucks, you might still win $100,000 boat. So I'm just wondering if Ranger does that, maybe you have some insight on that, or if Texas would do that, because they're right here. And then we have the heavy fishing coming in October. That is a big deal, and I think we're going to get a bigger tournament next year. We have some college tournaments that are coming, and then I've been researching some of the bass clubs. Bass clubs are awesome because it's like kind of like a golfing club or something where they're all kind of friends and they all get together once a month and just have a meeting about where they want to fish and talk about fishing and I've been fishing for 16 years just so you know a little bit about fishing. So this is something I'm going to really dive into because sometimes a lot of these clubs are 15, some of them have 90 boaters in their clubs. And they like to come, a lot of times they like to stay together in the same place. And we can get some of these clubs from Iowa to come here, like in the river, just have a culture fish up there, or I'm up in the Kansas area. St. Louis might actually come down here to fish once a year. So I'm really looking into that, and I think it's a big thing. I noticed the chamber's got listings now on the website for that club.
Tyson's coming in May.
And Tyson's coming in May, thank you. I'm just gonna, this was in everybody's box. This is an email that was sent from the Del Arco group, and I'm just gonna read it. It says, Dear Tyson team, thank you for steering room for Del Arco to tournament participants from April 21st to May 3rd. We're thrilled to welcome your group during this exciting time with your tournament. Tyson Bass tournament launches and action set for April 1st at the Bull Shoals Boat Dock. Our prime restaurant spot is just a quick 3 minutes to the Bull Shoals Boat Dock, ideal for early starts, and hassle-free access. Enjoy parking for trucks, trailers, boats, plus outdoor electrical connections so your rig stay powered up, back up right to your rooms. This email also lists all the lodging in town, all the businesses in town, the food, the marine places, the trailing, and so I think that's a big deal. Because Tyson might come over here also after that. So just moving on, I think the fact that the chamber is putting the tournaments on their website now, and we're looking at that. And here's something I just kind of thought of. If we can get some of these bass clubs to come, most of them have 30 to 90 boats, like I said. A lot of people don't even know that they're there. Those people might come back for the summertime. I mean, if they come here with Councilman Hutchinson's experience, we just get them here and experience the city and how wonderful the lake is. These people might actually come here during the summer on vacation because they've never been here before. So we need to really do some outreach and try to contact these people and get them to come. And I kind of find it hard to believe that no one has really done this. And Councilman, how many years do this? I mean, you know about what used to happen. Right? Back in the past, because I haven't been here as long as you have.
I mean, anyone that's been there, there's always been tournaments. It's just how was our city promoted in bringing those tournaments here? You know what I mean? Yeah, and we're just kind of at a strange thing now, but I think the most important part is, yes, we want to encourage people to come, yes, that grows tourism, yes, the state of Arkansas is dumping extra billions of dollars into adventure tourism to strengthen our fishing economy. It's like the last one we talked about. I get worried when we get into some of these and put so much work into it when, and I'm not trying to segue because I understand the ideas that we're trying to bring people in and do the bass tournaments in any way. I think it's great. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but if we're going to put this much time and effort into something like that, why wouldn't we put more time and effort into advertising the city in a grander scale, i.e. billboards, television commercials, things like that? I mean, we could bring 1,000, which would be cool, 1,000 bass tournaments here, but what does that do for longevity of marketing of the town? You know what I mean?
Sure. And these tournaments, like I said, these people plan these things a year ahead of time. So probably by the end of June, all these tournament goals are already going to know where we're going next year. So this is going to take some time. I mean, this is not happening overnight. But I'm willing to get after this.
I guess my biggest
I talk to people. I think it's a small piece of the puzzle. Let me look at that way.
I guess my biggest
will help our town grow and bring people here and maybe actually generate some income, so forth and so on.
So in what capacity do you think the city itself is involved? Like, because obviously we got to get the resources and everything involved, but like, who is doing the pursuing and what are we pursuing other than bringing the program? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's our...
I'm pursuing.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it in a bad way.
It's your house. Long ago, many years back, when we had tournaments coming in, one of the things that I did that seemed to go over well, VSW would have a feed the night before the tournament and a breakfast at 5 o'clock or whatever the next morning, feed them all. And now that went over pretty well. And most of the fishermen were happy for that because there's not many restaurants around here that are going to open up that way or stay open that late. But with a little bit of coordination, I can probably set that up again. The situation right, but that's what we're lacking, not just the advertising. We need the participation from the town to get involved directly.
It brings you to the fire, brother.
Well, I'm just saying that, we've got very little to offer when it comes to the grand scheme of things, but we've got to be out there doing the best we can with what we got.
These wrecked cars from Iowa, they're probably coming back, I mean, and they wrecked their car, so, I mean,
What are they gonna do?
it's just.
If I get a tournament looking at it, let me know and I'll see what I can arrange.
And I'll talk to some businesses in town, they would be willing to sponsor them, like 3 donuts or something, if they want to start. Stuff like that. I think we need to think outside the box a little bit and just do something, right? I'm also going down to the tournament that's coming here in October is in Greer's Ferry next month. And I'm going to go down there and meet the gentleman on the ground that we talked to, and just see what's going on down there, asking what we can do to make this a better tournament when they get here, that kind of thing. I think, I pointed, I don't know that anybody's done this in the past, in the way I'm looking at it, and it's just a positive thing that needs to be done, and I'm fixing to do it.
Going along with yours, I want to thank Mike and Bell Arco, because he, in his email, he's promoting Bull Mountain Resort, Driftwood Resort, Lighthouse Point Resort, Dogwood Lodge Resort, Rocky Highway Cottages, Pine Lodge Motel, Full Shoals Lake, White River Chamber, and you go on with businesses and that. He's an individual that is trying to help the city also. So, and that's one of the things that we had discussed at workshop, is trying to get our resorts on board with the city council here and trying to help them out to make sure that they can keep their doors open for when the people do come. Any other council comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can, because I'm going to throw a damper on things for my semi-annual complaint. 211 Alfred Drive is causing all the homes in the area to be not worth what they're worth. And it's because that place has not been touched since I put the plates over the doors and the windows. It is still falling down, it's still an eyesore, there's still a fire hazard, there's critters living underneath it, and the city is doing nothing. And the county is doing nothing. And we need to get something done. This is not okay, because it's not the only place in town that looks like this, folks. As you're driving down the street, open your eyes. We got houses that are dilapidated, falling apart, and all around us, and nobody's doing nothing about it. I understand they have the right to have their own home, but not at the cost of everyone else. And I'm going to say this out loud, Chief, and I'm sorry. The chief was be heard to say that if it starts on fire in that house, call him 30 minutes after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not trying to put on the chief, but that's how bad this house is. We ought to start at point A and finish at point B with the D9 cat. It's terrible. The roofs are caving in. There's foxes and stuff living in there. There's all kinds of other critters in the house. It's an eyesore, it's a fire hazard, and folks, it's a health hazard. And it's not the only place where it's coming.
Chief, what's the odds of getting a permit to just have a controlled burn?
And the reason I said it, I was very much of a joke.
No, I know,
Yeah,
I believe it. It's hard, but it's a real.
There's some red tape with it, especially with it being in a residential area. Again, residential, we don't have any say on what happens with, with a fire or with a fire ordinances or, codes, sorry. But when you go to try to burn something and you use it, it basically becomes a commercial property. So there's a lot of rules and stuff that have to apply at that point. ADQ gets involved. There's some things that have to be mitigated. So any roofing materials, anything like that, those things have to be taken off. So there's still some work to be done. We obviously couldn't use something like that as a training, because it's just a big bonfire at that point. There's nothing there for us to train with. There are things that can be done, but I don't know if we'd be making the area worse for a short amount of time that somebody else might be unhappy. So, we've tried that in the past and we're unsuccessful. But I don't know. Again, there's red tape.
But you've been by the property, I mean, it's pretty isolated, and I know the neighbors, and people would love to have something.
I'm sure.
Is there a way you can pursue this somehow? Like, just give it a shot, see what happens?
It's been years. I had to reach out to ADQ representatives that, would be what they think would pay.
It's almost like on a bill of lot, too, right? You categorize it as a bill of lot. I would categorize it as a safe house for money.
Yeah, there would still be some cleanup. I mean, obviously, not going to burn up most or everything there. So at that point, you still have a big pile of rubble that has to be cleaned up. But we definitely get rid of a bit of it. But again, it's going to put off some pretty noxious smoke for a little bit.
The biggest problem that we have with this whole issue, okay, is it was owned by a husband and wife. They got divorced. It was told in the divorce decree that the wife got the house at 211, the husband got the house in Yellowville, but that was never finalized in the lawyers registering that or filing that at the courthouse. So we have one individual, the wife, who is willing to sell, but the husband does not. And he lives in another state. Am I correct, Chief?
Yeah.
So that's our stumbling point. There is one owner that refuses to sell at this time. And I don't know what the law or which way we can go.
It's kind of an awkward situation because the ideal outcome would be some kind of forced application of the court's existing order with regard to the distribution of property. But obviously that's not necessarily something considered as the ability to easily see it put into, if that makes sense. To a certain extent, it's kind of between the parties. And so, the most realistic to do without thing would be maybe try and do some kind of external reaching into that, but part of me kind of wonders if the city wants to get into capital that or we can know nothing close those out and then once that kind of sorts itself, then go for it. I figure it's a city loan that stops there if we can do it.
Okay, well, I got a question because they're over $8,000 behind the property taxes for a piece of property. I wouldn't pay more than $15,000 for it. So now, when does the county, when can the county or the city go enough is enough? And take it from them?
And right now, it's 3 years behind, and before the land commissioner will take any kind of action, it'll be 4 years.
Watch for the settlement. I don't think everyone at that point doesn't say they able to sue the property, have the property go for foreclosure sale, want to sell to somebody else, or just go ahead and they're going to at that point.
My reason I'm asking a lot of the questions about this is because we've got 3 houses for sale on that very street, and those people are not going to get what they deserve from those houses because of the condition of the house. It's not going to happen. And so are we now stealing from our own citizens?
Unfortunately, those major property rights.
Is there room for a civil case on it? Could maybe if neighbors come together and do something and could be done that?
I can't do that.
I'd like to, next step would be probably go small claims and maybe the judge make a decision on it. I mean, this is definitely a unique situation because the divorce was never filed, and we can't locate the one that's down there out of state. They did make contact, and he just does that, he runs ungodly amount,
Yeah.
and it ain't worth it.
Yeah, well, last time I talked to him, he wanted something like $45,000,
Right.
which is ridiculous. His stuff, no way.
Kind of where we're sitting right now.
At that point, I would think, unfortunately, waiting it out with property taxes to the point where you're able to do something with it, using that, and will probably be the clean and route. So, because if he does have an interest in it, and if he gets his obligation to pay property taxes, if he doesn't have an interest in it, then whoever it would have been is still on those for property taxes.
Right.
Yeah, taxes, maybe, you know, but yeah, that was a straightforward answer.
In that case, you'll hear about it in another 6 months.
And I think we spent in the neighborhood of $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that.
So far,
And I think we're talking about, we're 2 years out from the tax bill, about 2 years out. I'm not sure checking that. They hold it for 2 years after they get it. Try to get you to pay and option it off. And if that, someone else would buy it, and then we have someone else who would buy it.
And it may be possible to alleviate some of the issues with property after the seizure before the sale, instead of the law. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was opportunities that the person involved in the process.
I've done everything to kiss the lady on the house about it. I'm not gonna do that.
any other councilman comments? Not, citizens' comments on agenda items only. Don?
I sent a gentleman an email this week, with some personal notes about how I perceive things going with the resort. None of that looked like, anything that was, going to come to any kind of resolution that was going to benefit anyone. Feel like this is maybe starting to turn in, or could turn into, the old parks building for, the next administration. Nobody wants that. I don't think, trying to force other businesses how to run their businesses, as council told us before, it's a bad idea for the city to get involved. My idea was that if we had a room tax per night, whether you're 2 nights a week or 7 days a week, they pay for round even numbers $1 a day. That's $30 if somebody's living in it because they have to, and they're renting it monthly because they have to survive. It's not a good hit. That money would then go into a specific fund that would only be spent on creating more tourism for town, doing the media stuff, sponsoring tournaments, doing these things to organically change the need for nightly rentals, rather than regulating some of these people out of business. And I also think as far as the sort of immediate need, it would be a good idea to pull back some of the regulations on the Airbnbs so that we have rental properties available. I've been here 6 years. I've yet to see anything come to town where there was not a room available somewhere to rent. So until we can create that kind of tourism, and with a fund like that, I think we could do some big media promotions and have some funds to work with about generating some tourism in town to help these resorts. Because I think they all obviously want to be nightly rentals because they make more money that way. As survival or whatever, we're left with what we got. Also, I think for sustaining on the city, it's been a tough place to open and run a business. We've already got some history with that from before, and I think it would be proactive if we did something proactive. I think it would shine a good light on us and be a good place to operate a business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Any other citizens' comments on agenda item only? Now we'll go to the whole business. Ordinance 2026-03, golf carts on city streets, third reading by title only. City of Bull Shoals, Arkansas, ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance to permit the use of golf carts on Bull Shoals city streets under authority of Arkansas statute ACA 14-54-1410 and for other purposes. I have a motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion?
See how close are we to having permits and everything rolled out, so when everyone sees this in the newspaper, they just don't go ripping down 178 in a golf cart.
So that's something that we gotta get.
We got them all right here.
We got all the, I mean, we've got all the final, everything that has to happen. Where are we at on stickers and?
Stickers, I believe, where's Linda? And anyway, so Linda can make up stickers for us, or, you know, I don't foresee we're getting 50 golf carts here, so, there you are. I'm sorry you're so short. Well, that's the truth.
We have all of the documentation ready, when they come in, we can print it off. An officer will go out, inspect the golf cart, go over and move the road, make sure, so that when they find it, they can put everything, they can know what we expect, from a legal standpoint, out of the golf cart.
So, question, the inevitable will happen, somebody will go ripping down 178 in a golf cart. How are we handling that? Are we going to zero tolerance?
Yes, it has to be.
It has to be.
It's in the rules and regulations that they're going to have to sign that they know you cannot drive on 178. That is a state highway, it's state regulated, it's absolutely awful.
With that zero tolerance, or is it just like fracking or removal of permit?
We haven't discussed that. It'll be for sure a citation.
For money.
I don't know what the state of the courts are. But ultimately, fines and penalties are up to the judge.
What they're gonna have is, they need a copy of, they're given a copy of the golf cart ordinance. They will have to show a copy of an insurance policy, okay? A copy of the driver's license will have to be on file. The cart itself will be inspected, okay, that it has turn signals, a horn, you know, everything that's required. And they will also be verbally explained on the rules of the road and all that.
Good question.
Can they cross on 78?
Yeah, you can cross 178, but, you know, obviously in a safe manner.
And this
But you can't go down.
You can't turn off of Hill Street saying I'm crossing the road.
Yeah, you know, 5 miles down the road.
Around and get into Hartsville. So you have to go down the city street to cross over. And then the rules of the road apply. If there's traffic coming, the golf carts do not have a right of way.
Mayor, does this all cover, ATVs also?
ATV fall under a whole different, law of the state. So, this is golf carts only. The side by side, they fall into a whole different category. Am I correct?
Yes. So side-by-sides and ATVs are already regulated, and for us to get into that, I think would be a ton of litigation that we don't need to mess with.
So we got a motion, we got a second, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance amending the zoning code of the city of Bull Shoals, Arkansas, providing for repeal of conflicting provisions and for other purposes. I have a motion. And a second. Any discussion? This is on the second reading. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. No new business, citizens' comments.
Tracy Poppy, 231 Woods Blvd, Shoals. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to formally request that you take action regarding the city treasurer. This is not about personalities. This is about performance and accountability. The city is currently at risk of losing reimbursement and turnback funds due to late lottery payments, an obligation that is known, predictable, and should be paid on time without exception. There have also been repeated issues with incorrect late federal and state withholding payments. These are basic compliance responsibilities, and failure in this area exposes the city to penalties, liabilities, and financial risk. In addition, there's been a lack of clear and timely financial reporting, making it difficult for the council and the public to understand the city's true financial position. At 5 meetings, council members have stated they finally have real numbers to base the budget on. Based on what we now know, that confidence was misplaced. These are not isolated incidents. They represent a pattern of failure in the core duties of the treasurer's role. Today, no independent verification has been provided to the council or to the public that these issues have actually been fully corrected, only assurance. At some point, inaction becomes the decision. It signals that these failures are acceptable, and they are not. I am asking you to initiate a formal review and take the necessary steps to remove and replace the treasurer with someone qualified to perform the duties of the office. The question is not whether there has been a problem. The question is whether this council is willing to address it. The citizens of this city deserve accountability and competent financial stewardship, and I urge you to act. Thank you.
As far as your concerns about Lockheed, what you said is untrue. Lockheed has been paid. As far as our financial statement, we started off in January of 2025 with $1.442 million, and at the end of the year, we had $1.785 million in the city. In streets, we started off with $113,000, and we ended up with $169,000. In the water sewer, we began with $1.3 million, and at the end of the year, we had $1.6 million. So the financial statements stand for themselves. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
I just have a question. You know, we're all worried about Paula and her finances. Why don't we ask the question, the $30,000 of water that's unpaid, that we let go? Our past administration let that money go. Why did they not go after these people to pay them bills?
Although that's a legitimate question, and I think that it should be asked, I also think it's a deflection. The reality is, those are great numbers, but there are a whole lot of things that we don't understand. That's like saying that I can show you that I have X amount of dollars in the bank. You don't know what outlying liabilities there are or anything else. So while I appreciate that, and it looks like the city's in sound financial shape, we don't actually know that. We can't get a valid treasurer's report. We have not been able to since day one, and I know because I asked. There's nothing on the website since November, by the way, because I repeatedly checked. There are no treasurer's reports since November of 25. It's on the schedule. I would also like a copy of that 2025 financial statement, because as you are probably aware, I'm going to go through it line by line. I look at some of the past treasurer's reports and they don't back. So
I appreciate your comments. I really do.
It's not.
Any other citizens' comments?
I've been a policymaker. For CBA and a public entity, certainly, if not a corporation or similar project.
Big difference between city government and business, commercial. Big difference.
And
Go
the
ahead.
big difference is, the accounting is totally different. But the point I'm getting to is that corporate entity, publicly traded at least, or city government, county government, state government, have audited balance sheets on an annual basis. We don't, if you claim that the balances for a certain period are all up and there's another period, this is evident when you have a balance sheet that has comparative numbers for year ended to prior year ended. I don't see that there is such a thing in the city of Washington.
Sure, I'll just send it in an email. I'll fill my time, so they don't want to hear me.
I don't say your time is over.
I don't know if that is. I'll just send you an email.
Randy Mullin, 218 Alfred Drive. I want to bring something, because I put in my first FOIA request ever the other day, when I got a response back. And I think it's time these people hear the response. Last year, 20 months ago, Carol Dust sat right there complaining about FOIA requests. Right next to her was Gina Bailey complaining about FOIA requests and the fact they couldn't get their job done because of FOIA requests. Because by state law, you have 72 hours to respond. Let's put the flat facts out there. Since the 1st of January 2025, Carol Dust, who said right there complaining, has filed 18 FOIA requests. Steve Dust, 2, which he never paid for or picked up. Nancy Jo Pucci, 2. Tracy Pappy, 11. And James Pucci, 14. Folks, FOIA requests are stealing from the taxpayers of this city because they have to answer them. They do not have a choice. Arkansas state law says they will. We can't make them stop. We can't tell them no. But I'm going to put it out to you all. You can tell them no. You can say, go ahead and continue and have a good time running November 5th for the office because you're not getting my vote. Folks, it's time for us to stop this BS and allow the city government to do what the city government is supposed to do. And we're not letting them do it. So
I don't understand we're telling the public right now not to do their civic duty to ask for financial documents.
No, what I'm saying is Carol Dust and most people.
I understand, that's a different.
We're not here to argue. We're here to work together, Mike. We're here to work together.
Councilman telling people that they can't do what they are legally allowed to do constitutionally because it holds someone up. That doesn't make sense.
When you abuse it, so you.
That's not
abuse people.
Tim Curtis, rural out business. I just want to tell everybody it's the time of year that the snakes are out. I killed a baby, about an 18-inch copperhead at my garage door, okay? Be very, very careful, especially in your flower beds and everything else. They are out, and if you get bit by a copperhead, trust me, I've been bit 3 times. It'll either be a wet bite or a dry bite, and you're going to have to go to the hospital for sure, and you don't want that. And we do have rattlesnakes around and everything else, so please be very, very careful because it's that time of year. And take care of the bees. Don't spray them all day long. Spray in the mornings and late evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
I have Curtis from Monte Vista. I have a question. At the workshop, you guys said that you were going to have a meeting about Vallejo. Did you have that meeting?
No, we're going to have a meeting with resort owners. We just haven't had a time established so that all resort owners can make a meeting. So we're working on that. Hopefully, first part of April, we will have that.
Thank you. Did you know that down on 178, that Vallarco has a sign up that says monthly rounds available? They do. And I don't understand. I love this city. And I don't understand because the people, the citizens of Shoals voted this down in Vallarco. The council voted it down. Everybody thought it was over. There was just a petition that was brought in to vote this down. I don't understand why we keep kicking the can down the road. It's time to make a decision. I don't want renters there. I live in that neighborhood. None of those people want that Vallarco to rent monthly rentals. I don't understand why you're listening to a handful of people when all the citizens are saying, we don't want this. And whose job is it to enforce this ordinance? Who's responsible for that?
The big city.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, the city doesn't want it. So why is it still going on? Somebody's not doing their job. And I don't know who it is, but I do know I love this city. I've been here for 30 years. And I don't want to see a bunch of people moving to Vallarco, and I'm sure not all Section 8s and all that, I'm sure there's not all bad people. But I came from Chicago, and I know they show up with drugs, with thieving. No. Please, please, please stop this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens comment?
Hi, Mike South, 2 Crestline Drive at the Delaware Coast. I think I'll respond to that one. First, I think one of the issues that comes up a lot is this group of people and the group of people at the Planning and Zoning Commission continue to let the community believe there's some 30-day rule. When we first got here, we were told it was a 14-day rule. Then I heard a 30-day rule, a 60-day rule, a 90-day rule. I've heard 6 months, I've heard 187 days, I've heard a year, I've heard 2 years. We also know that the city attorney has said there is no time limit. A time limit is not in our ordinance. And so when citizens are constantly frustrated that you all aren't doing your job, and then they're constantly frustrated with me, well, we brought people in, here's our map of the people we brought in a short 10 months. The places that come from around the country. This is where we brought people from. This is 10 months, y'all. We're here for at least a decade trying to make a run at this thing. And so the citizens are mad at us. Why? Because you all are telling 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. That vacation's long enough. We'll use the vacation now. Whatever the stories are. Instead of pulling out our code book, the one that we all have to abide by, and reading the code, and then going back to what our attorney told us, there is no time. I didn't write the code. I talked to 2 women the other day who used to live across the street from the Crow Barnes Resort. That's the Vallarco back in the 60s and 70s. People lived there for multiple years. I have records in my file cabinets right now from the 80s and 90s. Of people that stayed in Vallarco for multiple years. Yes, that sign is on 178. You are absolutely correct. I didn't put it there. It's not a sign.
Who are you?
It's, I'm Mike Salz. I'm the owner of the Vallarco.
Oh, okay. I did not know.
No problem. And so that sign's been there for, I don't know how, probably 20 years. I'm relatively certain that there hasn't been one tax dollar generated from that property in that 20-year period. Until now. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was going to keep this meeting short.
Rick Anderson, 231 Davis Prairie. Please don't turn back. I heard what the attorney said a long time ago, not too long ago. Mr. Attorney, is this your conclusion that you gave the town board just not too long ago? Great. Here's the full copy, I'll take that one. It says a resort can have guests, not tenants. A resort should offer leased accommodations like in a resort should not offer leased accommodations like an apartment complex or landlord dwelling. It also states a resort can permit guests to stay for any duration of time as appropriate, so long as that person is a guest seeking tourist accommodations, not a tenant looking to rent. A resort would be appropriate to offer less than monthly accommodations to tourists. So, when you guys saw all those ads for apartments, is that resort living?
Why don't you keep on going with the rest of that statement, okay? It also states that a resort is a resort as long as it continues to operate as a resort. So if one unit is rented out as a resort, it is a resort.
You see that in there? I don't see anything like that in there.
I believe that's what you...
I didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything. Do you see that in your conclusion?
As you would, the intention in my conclusion statement here is to provide guidance for the resort company to alleviate some of the issues that we are having. The intention is to provide everyone with a framework under which they can operate. Likewise, I will say that as long as the resort should refrain from offering current accommodation, the intention here is to provide the city with a framework that they can use appropriately collect the Arkansas Tourist Tax, which is what this should be for. That part of the entire intention here is to ensure that we are making sure that our city is a city for tourists. And if it's a city for tourists, then the state can achieve the tourist tax. A significant portion of what this is all about is an issue. Because there were claims at one point that the individuals who were operating these resorts were effectively saying, oh, this is a tourism, we're staying past 30 days, so consequently we don't have to pay this tourist tax. Well, the intention is that this is for tourist accommodations, so in order to ensure this tourist accommodations, you are paying tourist tax. Consequently, I would encourage everyone to realize that is a significant factor in this, and I would also encourage everyone to realize that there is no set rate upon which someone can be a tourist. If you want to go and you want to stay at a resort for 6 months, that's great. By all means, more power to you, you're welcome to do so. I would encourage resort owners to take that into account when making decisions and realize that if you're a tourist, then you're paying the tourist tax for the tourists and offering their stay as appropriate in order to account for that. That is the intention. It is not the city's place to say whether or not a person can operate a business in a manner of choosing. It is not on the city to say that a particular individual has been staying too long in a particular room. That is not what the city needs to be involving itself in as outside of our realm. However, we have the ability to inform business owners and operators what it is that they should and shouldn't be doing with the properties that they own with regard to the zoning ordinance. Consequently, if they are engaging in kinds of behaviors that are permitted at those locations, according to our ordinances, then they are within the acceptable limits. And that is part of the reason that I wrote this conclusion as a series of steps that one can take to ensure that they are in complete compliance with the existing ordinance. That said, these ordinances have a degree of leeway to them in how they are written. It is not the most clear, cut and dry, oh, well, this is obviously a hotel, this is obviously a resort, this is obviously what it is, because it does not include definitions like length of stay or anything along those lines. Underneath the existing ordinances, it clearly defines that a Your resort must be operated as a resort. If it's not being operated as a resort, it's not being a resort. Well, they are operating themselves as a resort. They are labeling themselves as a resort. If they've got rooms open that you can come in and rent for a night, then you're a resort.
So, there's also the intent of what the people are. You alluded to it, but you didn't quite capitalize on that. The intent is that they're here for tourist accommodations, not to live. And that's the difference between an apartment and a resort. This is the way planning zoning interprets their codes. We are not going to let other people interpret our codes and do as they wish. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other citizens' comments?
James Spooky, my address is I've lived here about 6 years. I've had 14 employers. The people that you name, if you got to do a sheet there. Any other people that were employees? Or were you just picking on certain people?
No, I was looking at people that had multiple FOIA requests, more than just 2 or 3. You have had 14 FOIA requests there in the last 12 months.
Okay. I'm allowed. Like I said, I'm allowed.
Yeah,
That's my right.
but at the same time, you're not allowing these people, like Susan and them, to do their job because they're too busy answering your FOIA request. As a matter of fact, you have a FOIA request back there that qualified and quantified. You have 72 hours to respond to, and by the way, it's 12 days work. You got all the information you asked for.
Did I ever say you only got, did I ever tell you only got so much time you can use for it?
There's been times I told you I'm not gonna have it completed.
Did I ever ask you that? No, thank you. No, because I understand, sometimes it takes time. It's no big deal. But for you to sit there as a council member and call certain people out, that's wrong, man. That's wrong.
I believe his FOIA was all FOIAs that were requested. Is that right?
Yeah.
Of who submitted for FOIAs.
Yes.
So those were the names that he was given.
This is the full list of all the FOIA requested for 12 months.
Well, it looks like a lot more than
There is, but when you count the fact that you have 14 and other people have 18.
How many should I have, Randall? How many?
How many do you need to?
Well, I need it. I need it. Trust me, buddy, I need it.
Every person standing for us can be still here. We're sitting over there, completing 12 or 20 months ago.
That has nothing to do with me. Nothing. She brought my name up, you brought my wife's name up, you brought other people's names up. And that is wrong of you. You could have said certain people got 14, 10, 9, whatever it was.
In that case, I apologize.
You don't apologize to me, because you and I have been through this before. You're live and that's it.
Come on.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? Okay, mayor's comments. The city has approved the welcome pack to give out the new community members, and it's also been posted on our city website. We will be updating that as changes occur. Anybody can take a look at it. I had a question for the city attorney, because this was brought up at the workshop, requesting that our resort owners advise us, or real estate companies advise us when a resort sells, so that we could apparently tell them that there are certain things that have to be known if you're a resort owner in Little Shoals, like no long-term rentals and such. So basically, just a letter to these folks would be sufficient, according to our city attorney.
You don't even know, just as an internal policy, we find, if you want to do that, great.
You guys let me know, come up with a letter, I'll submit to you, we'll go into the next workshop, and, see what we come up with.
Mayor Driftwood has a new owner.
Pardon?
Driftwood has a new owner.
Yeah, so does, living the ring or whatever they call it, in Lakeside Breeze. The next blood drive is going to be Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, at 12:30 to 5:30, right here at City Hall. There is a grant writing meeting at Fred Berry Crooked Creek Conservation Center in Yellville on April 8th, 2026, starting at 10 a.m. Also, Arkansas State Highway Street Project will begin sometime after April 15th, 2026. We've met with the Highway Department, and the following streets are involved in this project. They will be Elm Street, Pinehurst Point, Northwest Street, Redbud Avenue, part of Shorecrest Drive, part of Walden Lane, and part of Lynette Avenue. That's all I have for you. You were second? Wait, hang on.
Sorry. Can I say something before we adjourn?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to kind of know what the status of the violation letters that were sent out, or supposed to be sent out. Have they been sent out to planning and zoning? I mean, the planning and zoning letters, we had agreed to send out some violation letters that they had sent.
Dan, did you serve one at, Lakeside Green? Trail? Huh?
I haven't caught up with that yet.
Yeah, he lives out of state.
He is city certified.
Okay. And then, you delivered the one to Bel Arco?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so, yes. Okay.
I mean, I guess I just had to kind of process this a little bit, but I have no sympathy for people that buy houses next to airports and then complain that there's noise. It's an airport. But I just, after talking with residents around some of these resorts and spending hours around some of these resorts, people bought houses around what they thought were going to be resorts, and now they're apartment buildings. And I have some sympathy for that. And we can sit and argue endlessly, apparently, about what constitutes long-term rental and short-term rental. And, I'm not sure that that's productive. But at some point, we have to start enforcing our zoning codes. And I just, if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? And if we don't do it about long-term and short-term rentals, what are we going to do it about? Are we just going to let anybody put up any kind of signs they want to, or are we just going to let anybody build whatever they want to with no permits and nobody's going to do anything about it? I just feel like we voted over and over and over again on this issue, and it's not getting addressed. And I'm frustrated because I hear it all the time. And so that's why I want to know, are these letters going out, are they being taken seriously? And if they're not being taken seriously, what are we going to do about it? That's what I want to know.
And I would say that, yes, the letters have gone out. We'll deal with it, when those time limits come up. Okay. The one thing I want people to understand, though, is if it's a resort, they cannot take Section 8 vouchers. And correct me if I'm wrong, city attorney, but if a verbal or a bed and breakfast or Airbnb wishes to rent out their house, they can take a Section 8 voucher.
I'm not necessarily familiar in that regard, but I'm looking. But it's my understanding that the intention with my section measures is to provide people with permanent housing and semi-permanent housing. And so if you want to rent out your house to somebody else, then, sure, great, cool. That's well within your rights to do so. The issue becomes, when we look at these kind of pseudo-commercial properties, like with, a resort, because a resort is a tourist accommodation, and semi-permanent lodgings that are provided for under Section 8 housing are not tourist accommodations.
Right. So hotels, motels, resorts can't take the Section 8.
Well, hotels potentially, but hotels and resorts are different in that regard, because resorts are tourist accommodations.
Okay. But, if you want to rent, if the person wants to rent out a house, okay, they can take a Section 8.
First, in the same way with any home residential property, or residential property, but, yeah.
We have a motion and a second to, who's the second, adjourn? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?